Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Yeah, good, dude. How are you? All right?
Good, good. Really excited to talk about this film today that we saw last night.
We did.
Really keen to get into this one, Rick. Now, it's an interesting backstory about Ghostbusters Afterlife. If you're not aware out there, this film was initially slated for June of 2020. June of
Been a long time
2020.
coming.
It was, and they delayed it because of obvious reasons. But essentially, it then got a re-release date of October 2021. Well, I know it shifted a few times. So America actually got to see this film. The Northern Hemisphere, I just say America at this point, got to see this 2 months ago, almost 3 months ago. And for us here in Australia, excuse me. No, I'm not sick, everyone. I'm not sick.
COVID, quick.
No, we obviously didn't get a release date until January 1st, 2022. So this film has been in the can, sitting on the shelf for 18 months in a way. Well, 18 months for American, close to 2 years for us. So it's definitely been a long, long time coming, and certainly one of my most anticipated films leading up to this, Rick. What were I know you were
super excited, mate. Very keen to see, and especially who was behind, doing this and directing it and writing and all that. And when we saw the footage and little bits of trailer and bits of footage that was coming out, was great. And then we kind of I wanted to stay clear because I wanted to go in with a clear mind of what, I didn't have high expectations for this movie, but I knew it was going to be something special.
The hardest part was avoiding spoilers, wasn't it, Rick?
It was, because like you said, we didn't get it until the 1st of January. So we had 2 months and people were just pumping it out on the internet and we couldn't. Yeah, it's hard for us.
I got to see one image beforehand, and that was of Olivia Wilde.
Yep.
Like dressed up as the big baddie. And that was the only thing I had seen. I was pretty damn sure about who was going to be in it, because there'd been rumors, pretty heavy rumors. So I wasn't super shocked in that. But I relatively stayed fairly clean of information on this film, which was great. Purposely didn't watch clips or anything online, stayed away from all that. So it was great to go in relatively fresh.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, generally we don't really, muck around here too much when it comes to... I'm a big fan of not bearing the lead on what our thoughts are on the movie and what we think of it. So I'm just going to put it straight out there. I adored this film. I absolutely adored this film. I had such a great time with this film and this experience, Rick. What about you?
Yeah. Oh, I did too, mate. I mean, I loved this movie. I had so much respect for what we saw, and I loved it so much. I actually cried in a couple of scenes. It really was a bit teary. So emotional, but it's so much love went into this movie. It's just perfect movie. Yeah.
You're right. I was surprised at how emotional it was for me. And that's built on the back of our nostalgia, of course. But
correct.
Yeah, there is a lot to love about this film. Any criticisms that have come out by the critics around this, which is the one thing I go up against. They go, it's a bit too nostalgic. I think for this project, you kind of had to go that way because, we've all tried to bury the memory of 2016 Ghostbusters, but that film exists. And obviously we all kind of rejected that concept, that kind of feeling that they kind of discarded the past. Really, I don't think the audience was ready for this, and this movie addresses it in such a big bad way. And you alluded to why I think the key reason this film works is because of the love and care that the filmmakers put behind this. And if you don't know, Ivan Reitman was the director of Ghostbusters, a very, very successful director of the 80s and 90s. And it's his son, who's also independently a very good filmmaker, came on board with his father, and they've gone back. So there are many parallels with this film, dealing with family and dealing with nostalgia that the filmmakers themselves are experiencing while making it. And that's the biggest thing for me, is you can tell how much love and care they put into this movie.
They did. Yeah. The nostalgia, like you said, the nostalgia's there, and it was, the way they did it was just fantastic. It was done right. It wasn't thrown in your face. like
No.
certain other movies, which we won't discuss. But
Matrix.
it was Matrix. But it was just done so well, you know, and it had a good pace to this movie as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't a real fast-paced movie. It was just that steady pace, and then you could just follow everyone's journey and get it all together. It was just so beautifully done.
Yeah, and you know, with the addition of kids, because this is, you know, really much of a kids-driven film, and the kids are the main characters. You know, you've got that, you're dancing across that line of, it's just now a kids' film, or what do I care? But they really handled that balance really well. And the kids that they got, we obviously know Finn Wolfhard, is it Wolfhard?
Yeah,
who's been around the game now for a while, been in some big shows and movies. But that young girl who they hired to play Egon Spangler's granddaughter was
Emily,
pitch perfect. Pitch perfect. You know, she had the quirkiness of her grandfather. She had the science background, the social awkwardness, but she just carried it so well. And a lot of it was on her back, you know. And the same with the kid that played Podcast. I thought he was a great, humorous addition. Was really, really good as well. But obviously it's the other. I mean, Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. You can't.
He tonally is perfect for this type of film.
Yeah,
he's got the right sense of humor, the right kind of personality to really add a lot to it. He was great, you know.
And the good thing about him, he didn't shine from taking it away from the younger crowd. So it was really good. Like, he was still there, but the others still shine. Like, she was just phenomenal.
Absolutely. And you know who else I was really shocked that was in this film, Rick, was and I kept looking at her and going, I've seen you in things, but I'm not kind of sure, was Carrie Coon, who played the mother. Right?
Yes.
And I'd seen her in bits and pieces, I couldn't recognize her. But for those fans out there, comic book fans, primarily comic book stuff, she played Proxima Midnight. Avengers Infinity War. So she was phenomenal too.
She was good.
You know, and her chemistry with Paul Rudd was solid, I thought. But
everyone's chemistry was good. Everyone's.
But it's the story that works really well for this, you know. I mean, rather than trying to put it in New York again and doing that, they take it out of New York and they put it in a small country town. Somerville, I believe the name of the town is. And so you're putting them in a different environment. But what they've done, they've interwoven the importance of that town to the original film.
Yeah.
Because as we find out later, obviously, Egon Spangler sacrificed his whole life to take care and take guard of all the ghosts that they've captured over their time as Ghostbusters. So, you know, he had set up his farm as a giant trap, and he was there just making sure that these things didn't get out. What we also find out later in the film is a lot of importance with that town, because the steel that the building was built from in Ghostbusters,
the original.
and I know this sounds a bit of a stretch, was designed by a guy who was into the occult and all that. So in a way, he designed the building as an antenna. For
that's
the Zool, and you know,
it's good how they imply that.
It works well. It
does
really, really, really well. And you know, I mean, there's not a lot happening in the first 20, 30 minutes of this film, but damn, is it still, am I engaged? Oh, yeah. The setup was there. It was really, really wonderful, you know. It's one of those films, I think you'd be a pretty cynical type of person not to enjoy this.
I don't know anyone who would not enjoy this. Like, I don't know.
I just think if you do love the film, I just don't know how else you could have made a Ghostbusters film at this point. You know, moving forward, keeping in the same universe as the first two films. I think this was the perfect way to kind of do it, and you know, it unfolds in such a way that it's paying homage. Even though using the same musical themes that they did in the original, there's a lot of even in the beginning of the film when we see Egon Spangler die, he's attached to that chair, which is obviously from Ghostbusters, you know. So and that was my thing, actually. I suppose because I've mentioned it now, we've got to mention it, is the fact that Egon Spangler plays a massive part in this movie, Rick.
He's all over it.
He is all over it. He is all over it, and just handled so well. From the fact that you realise he's a ghost and he's assisting Emily
when he's playing chess.
Yes,
with his granddaughter.
Yeah,
it's so good. And you don't know it's him, but you.
Yeah. I mean, you feel like the cynics would say, "Oh, how come anyone in the town wasn't freaked out when they saw a ghost?"
No,
because they know about ghosts. There's a unit.
They
all know about what happened in New York in the 80s.
That's
all
right.
know. So it's not a massive surprise, But yeah, Egon Spengler's massive in it. And let's not bury the lead, Rick. I'll let you unveil it. The ending of this film, the reveal of what happens.
Mate, the ending was just beautiful. And I got goosebumps on me, and I was just like bit teary in goosebumps. Like when they all came out, all three of them came out.
Yeah, and that's it. They're all back.
Cast. They're all back. You knew in some form they were going to be in this movie. Dan Aykroyd, Murray. They were all in it. But to have Harold Ramis in it as a ghost together with all four was just magic. Helping his granddaughter hold that. Hold that. It was just beautiful. Oh, so good.
It was wonderful, and they must have gotten permission from the family to use his likeness and things like that.
He doesn't say anything because
doesn't need to though.
He doesn't know. The emotion was still there with him not.
But see, that works in continuity too, because I don't think any of the normal ghosts besides Zool in the franchise ever really talk, do they? Like, none of them really talk, do they?
No.
Like, even remember Ghostbusters 2 where they have that a courtroom scene with those criminals and that. I don't think they talk. The ghosts talk in that, so it works within the universe. They haven't changed continuity or moved everything there. But that was really emotional to see them together. And again, if I was to be cynical, I can imagine people going, "Oh, so they just roll out the guys at the end for a cash grab." No, I don't agree. I think it worked structurally in the film. I think by that point, most of the film, we're invested in the characters on the screen. We're going through those journeys. So it felt organic to me. It didn't feel like they were just like, and here's Bill Murray.
And Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. So, look, it paces really well. The fact that they use all the old they do little twists on the old characters. Like, we get a Slimer, but it's not the same Slimer. It's a different Slimer. We get the Marshmallow Men, but it's not the same. It's little ones.
Little ones.
The dogs say the same, which is great.
Yeah, and you know what? And quote me if I'm wrong, Jace. I'm not sure. Yeah. Those dogs, were they animatronic in some scenes?
I think they were mostly, honestly,
which I reckon was cool, man.
Yeah, when I got back from the movie last night, I was watching actually some special features, and they were 100% mostly. Obviously, when they're running, they're not.
Yeah.
But there you can see a little bit of the different Slimer there on the screen.
It's cool how they modified the car as well. Over the years,
it obviously had some organic changes throughout it. Because remember, there are stories that we don't know of what the original Ghostbusters did. You know what I mean? I'm sure they had, captured a few other ghosts throughout their time.
Yeah.
So, right. No, I mean, I really struggle to have a bad word to say about this movie. It felt like a warm blanket. Like, I felt safe. I felt comforted. I really was enjoying it. It had some nice, genuine scares in there, and I thought the comedy worked really well.
Yeah.
It's a hard one for me to pick on. I'll probably have to watch it a couple more times, and maybe I find some weak links, but it is as close as you're going to get for me to the original experience of the first Ghostbusters.
Totally,
and it took me right back there, mate. I remember being 10 years old and seeing the movie, and going to the cinema with my friend to see it. So to go back, years later with my friend again, not the same friend, and see the sequel, what's the math on this? 37 years later.
There you go.
It's crazy.
And it's funny we were saying that because the way we were situated in the cinema, we were sitting in like this, what we call Lux here in Australia. Yeah. So we had these separate seats and they bring you food and all that type of stuff. And then at the end of the movie, I just remember me and Jace, we both looked at each other and we just went,
Yeah.
Like it was just.
And my son, who was sitting down on the, because we all went, like my daughter, her partner, my son, his partner, my wife, and my son and his partner were down right on the other side of the cinema. Yeah. And I just after you'd done that, he just looks up and he goes, and I went, "Yeah, we're good."
That's the beauty.
We're
good.
And
you know what? And I think the beauty about this movie is I think the younger generation now that probably hasn't experienced what we did in the original would be great for them to watch that original. You know what I mean? Watch it. And
what a great
bring everything together. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of a movie.
Point. Yeah. Where now you'll be able to show, like, maybe they don't want to go back and watch the 84 Ghostbusters, but if you show them, you could show them Afterlife first as a standalone movie.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they could go back and watch Ghostbusters. Yeah. That's what works about this movie too. It doesn't have to be watched chronologically, in my opinion. If you didn't know anything about Ghostbusters, you are going along the journey with the kids as they discover what all this stuff is and how it works and what their background is and what their true meaning and what they're meant to be. And I mean, as a coming of age story, it's just so great, you know. Yeah, I was, if I had any concerns leading into it was, is it going to be a bit too much on the nose? But no, they just handled it so expertly, you know. Everyone's to be so damn proud of the movie they did. And you know what, Rick? Let's have a look at Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, right? What do they say?
Yeah. Let's just have a quick look here. Bear with me. There we go. So Ghostbusters Afterlife basically is 95% audience score.
Of course.
So 95% of the audience loved it, right? Yeah. And I'm definitely one of them. But 62% of the critics again. So, you know,
what are the critics saying? Is there anything about...
Well, their consensus here is Ghostbusters Afterlife crosses the streams between franchise revival and exercise in nostalgia. And this time around, the Bustin' mostly feels good. And then we've got the audience says, great cast, fast-paced story, lots of callbacks to the original movies, make Ghostbusters Afterlife fun for fans and the franchise.
Yeah,
I mean,
perfect.
You know, and I don't really want to spend too much time haunting, but not in a good way. Like, who the hell is Hannah Strong?
Just that, really?
You know, it has its moments, but they don't make up for feeling flat-footedness and tendency to wobble.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, this is cynical. A good story is key, and this sequel does not have it. Richard Roper, who is a well-renowned critic, he is so off the boil with this. This movie did have a great story. So, but you know what? This one. The banal dialogue is shockingly free of quality or humor, and to top it all off, there's an over-reliance on visual effects, heavy set pictures through the second frenetic hour.
What was he watching?
Wow!
Really? Come on now.
It just goes about the cynical. This is a film where I don't know if cynicism is really the place for it, to be honest with you, because I think, honestly, this film is about nostalgia, and you've got to go in with an open heart with this, you know. And I can understand in a way, well, the last time we did Ghostbusters, we got Ghostbusters 2016. Yeah, but you'd have to live in a box not to know that they were really going back to the original source material and setting it in the same universe. They're completely wrong in my book. I absolutely adore this film. This will have a special place for me moving forward. It is very much feels like it's part of a trilogy. It's a good way. You know, Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2 probably being the weakest of them all, but Ghostbusters Afterlife, it definitely ties it up just beautifully, you know. And like I said, unlike... Yep, go on.
Sorry, go, Jason. No, go. I'll let you go.
No. It's all right. I got distracted on something else. You go ahead, Rick.
We're just talking about there was obviously cameos with a lot of the guys in there. Yeah. The end credit scene was fantastic.
Oh, the after credit scenes.
The after credit scenes.
They both were great.
There's two. They were both great. There was a mid one, which they had Sigourney Weaver and Bill Murray. And
doing the
electric test.
The card thing, which was great.
From the original. Loved it. That was awesome. And then that scene with Ernie Hudson at the end.
That is a setup for a potential franchise. And you know what, Rick? You could do it. You could roll them out one more time. And here's my pitch, Rick. They you know, because Ernie Hudson's character, what have I forgotten his character in the name?
He's very he's rich at this point.
Yeah, he's like, I forgot. Yeah,
he's loaded.
I'm getting
old. Yeah.
No. Anyway, he's like got money, and he's been funding. He's been funding not Venkman. What's the other one? Spengler, Venkman, Ray, the character Ray. Ray, what was it? People freak out in the comments about this one. Either way, Ernie Hudson's been funding Ray's shop for a while, been paying the rent on it, and he's now bought the original building, and he's bought back the Ecto One, which alludes to him setting up a new business, a new Ghostbusters business. And this is where you can get all the guys back, and their job is to recruit the new crew. You know, bring back a couple of the kids if they want to be back involved in it. Have it set back in New York, a new threat, a new opportunity. So they have set it up for a franchise if you want to go that way. But again, the brilliance of it is if they don't, this is still a perfect wrap up. Nothing is left untwined, you know, you know, or bundled up. So dude, it's such. I mean, we saw that. Look, we haven't done a review on it, and I'll tell you why we haven't done a review. I'm just going to go off the script here a bit. It's Matrix Resurrections, right, which we'd seen as well. And that movie I rubbed up against in such a big bad way. Look, I get it for everyone out there. I know it's Leonard Wachowski sticking a finger up to the studio and the fans about, you know, what these movies are and what they represent, and the studio for, you know, basically saying you've got to make another one. But yeah, when you have a movie like that, which is kind of going back on nostalgia, and then you have something like Ghostbusters, it is such a polar opposite. It's such an example of what not to do and what to do, you know? And look, mate, I've just, as I've been speaking about this, I've also just seen this. So this is what I don't understand. How does 62%, go 62% there, and then you go to Matrix Resurrections, and you've got a 65%.
Wow. How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know. And you can see the audience score. The audience,
that's as
well.
That's fair
enough.
Yeah.
And so you know what the lesson from this, Rick, is? Stop caring about what critics think, people.
Yeah,
Stop judging your expectations on movies and what critics say. Because a lot of time we are wrong. It is an opinion only. And films mean different things to different people. And I could say I didn't care. I wouldn't have cared if this had a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. I walked if you enjoyed that experience.
That's right.
I loved it. It hit all the right beats for me. Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's correct, mate. Like we don't obviously agree on all our movies as well that we watch and all that. Everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah.
And if you go in a movie and you enjoy it, and then the rest of the people don't enjoy it, well, who cares?
Who cares?
You know? That's the experience. If you had a good experience watching that movie, then that's what matters. Yeah. Who cares what anyone thinks? So
yeah,
this movie is
not about cynicism. This is a family story made by people who truly love and made the originals. There's just so much to adore about this film, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, I mean, would I like to see another one in this universe? Sure, I would. I would definitely be keen. But again, like I just said before, if they don't, I've just really appreciated that they just did such a wonderful film.
Yeah. Like he said, it has alluded to it. It has alluded to it. Like at that last end scene, how the little light was flashing in the at the end there, and they could do it. And you're right, they could bring it out. But if they just left it, I'd be happy with that as well. So
before we go, some of my favorite scenes. I love the Walmart scene.
Oh yeah,
with the little marshmallows, with the little marshmallows and the dogs. Absolutely adored that. Love the there's just so much. I love the scene in the basement with the ghost talking. Like, what would you love?
And you like this scene as well when we introduce Paul Rudd as he's going in and he's wheeling in the VHS.
Oh, the fact that he's like, I don't give a shit. I don't want to be here. And he watch some old VHS tapes of horror movies. So he's making them watch Cujo and Chucky. Absolutely hilarious.
That was so good. Loved it.
It's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of nice little moments throughout the film, you know, and you have those. But yeah, the big action scene at the end was fantastic too. I never felt bored or here we go with the big action. It all felt like it was kind of going that way. Yeah, like it's just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else to say, Rick. I think if I watch it a few more times, I have a lot more specific to say about some of the scenes and the character interactions. But basing it off that we saw it,
mate,
12 hours ago or whatever it was, we come out, well, 14 hours ago, we come out of the cinema. Yeah, I'm left with a very good taste in my mouth for sure.
Yeah.
Highly recommend people. If you love Ghostbusters, it is absolutely worth your time. This isn't Ghostbusters 2016. This is the opposite of that. So I would say go and see it. Make up your own mind. I had a fun time with it.
Yeah. Go see it. Bring your kids. Take your kids to see it.
Absolutely.
Take that new generation and experience what we experienced when we were kids as well. That's the beauty
It is
of
definitively a family movie in the best way possible, Rick. Yeah. Well said. All right, guys, we're out now. We've done this has been our review of Ghostbusters Afterlife. So nice to start the year, Rick, with a film that we both enjoyed, don't you think?
So good, mate. So good.
But as always, we we feed on the comments and what you guys think of the film. So, Rick, take it away. How do these guys connect with us? Let us know what they thought of this film. Even if you saw it 3 months ago, in the US, we still want to know what you think 3 months later about this film.
That's right.
So how do they do that, buddy?
Guys, all you need to do is drop us a comment down below. Give us one of these a thumbs up. We'd really, really appreciate it. Hit that notification bell and just follow us all on our social media sites. It's easy and simple as that, guys. We really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button as well, guys. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you soon on the channel with our next show. Who knows what it'll be?
That's it.
See you soon.
See you guys.